I've been wanting to do an outdoor projection this summer, especially for this summer, the summer of COVID-19. I was excited to see TSL was doing a movie program in their parking lot. What a space, and what a beautiful sky tonight. I would like to thank Linda and Claudia for putting me on the schedule. With everything digitalized and programmed these days, I want to do a show with a certain randomness and a hands-on element. I would like to thank TSL one and only Jeff Marks for being my other hand in this projection performance as we switch from one file to the other on two projectors that are running independently from each other. If our hands get in the way, well, that's just part of the show. And a shout out to my dear friend Yoni Niv from Java, Israel, who sent me these two composed tracks, which will be tonight's accompanying and mixed in audio. The only thing that will be in sync is our belief and our feel of each other as fellow artists. You know, we've been living in a new time without really knowing it. Looking back, 9/11 was only a precursor. We've been inside our brave new digital world, a world of globalization, a world where the rich gets richer no matter what, and a world where the rest of us, well, we're just hooked into our daily lives and struggles. Crises are becoming less and less centralized. Yes, there's hot spots, but that's only where people congregate in closed spaces in large numbers. They say it's all global, but you and I have been in quarantine, and that's about as local as you can get. But what better time for artists to work? There's no excuses. There's always new work to start, and God forbid, there's never enough old work that was ever finished. Hashtag spring blizzard. To get our mind off this hashtag virus. But why does everything look like our hashtag virus? Us as nature, as our virus, as our hashtag recession, as our potential hashtag general strike. Hashtag be healthy. Hashtag be safe. Hashtag be strong. Dot. Help those who are less fortunate. Dot. No bailouts for corporations. Hashtag dare to struggle.
Okay, let's think about
Hashtag dare to win.
this thing. Said you don't even have to look down. Well, there's some traffic down there. Streets are all empty. Go right between east and west.
Posted
South.
March 24th on Instagram and Facebook. Lockdown, Hudson, New York.
Well, stop.
Never been too obsessive like my fellow artists. Don't always need to be creating. I like to be dreaming most of the time. They say it's all about timing. And one thing for certain, time passes everyone by. Feeling my age, I became a hoarder of newsprint in our first decade of our new millennium. Yes,
Where's the damn focus?
9/11 was newsprint's last hurrah. Tried to glue to oil to wet down the printed news of terror, recessions, war, climate change, and more war, but could never figure out the pile's final and finished form. Hashtag inner print, hashtag the odds, hashtag newsprint as film, hashtag print as light, hashtag age of COVID-19. Posted April 13th, Instagram and Facebook. Quarantine, Hudson, New York. When I was a teenager, back in the mid-late 60s, I had my driver's license suspended. Not for speeding, but for parking. Yes, that kind of teenage parking. And a kissy kissy, rubby rubby, and a little humpy humpy. I had to go in front of a juvenile judge, and before he took my license away, he made me look at a book, a photo album of all the local fatal car accidents. I mean, it was kind of cool, but it was also horrifying. But you never saw the mangled dead bodies, but only the broken steel of the twisted cars. These photos spoke to me from the future. Now, my sister's first job out of social work school in the mid 70s was working for this same juvenile judge. I asked her, do they still have that book with all the car crashes? Yes, but nobody ever looks at it. They now have a new video system with all the new car crashes, which they force all the kids to look at. Well, if they're not using that book, and lo and behold, my sister stole the book. I've had it all these years. I always wanted to do some art out of them, in the tradition of Warhol and Chamberlain. Do you remember the ant farm? When I started projecting slides in the early 80s, I appropriated a couple of these photos that were ready-mades. As the years passed, I knew I wanted to do more. I always wanted to cut them out and glue them, collage them around some head. It was this idea of Karl Marx's head and the prolonged capitalism of late. During this recent quarantine time, I had a rethinking, a restart, a retooling, if you will. Maybe Mao's head would work better. Or, like the Chinese labor and the American consumer. What a perfect world. Chinese virus and the American sick. Trade as our global virus. I even lowered myself and thought of using Trump's head. No, that would only cheapen our noble demise of our cult of cars. That motherfucking cheapens enough our downfall of America. Cars as a medium, as a cult, is so entrenched in America. Such an empty symbol of individual freedom, aggressive and insular in nature. No, don't get me wrong. I like cars too. It just takes a little effort to remember that you're not alone and that you could kill someone besides yourself. Even in Hudson, there were many complaints from drivers. No comments, if you will, on Facebook about the Hudson's Share the Street program this summer. Being a liberal town, the comments were really expressed as concerns for pedestrians, who they said were walking blindly in front of their scared cars. Oh, come on, please, drivers. If you really knew how to drive 5 miles per hour and share the streets, any child could be safe if he or she ran in front of you. I was just waiting for some Yahoo driver to hold up a sign, "All cars matter." I shot this 2 weeks ago. Hashtag time moves fast. That's what everyone says again. I don't think it's time so much as hashtag events of all time of hashtag COVID-19. Time, well, just moves if we do or not. Always been an archivist. I made this corny video. God. Hashtag I love New York. I didn't abandon you. I'll be back. You, hashtag the city, are doing fine just without me or any one individual. Just glad to be a part of this hashtag living history. Hashtag phase 1. Hashtag dare to struggle. Hashtag dare to win. Posted June 16, Instagram and Facebook.
Kiss goodnight, kiss goodnight. There your side, all for the things you are. You should get better so money. Gonna find the shining star. Where are you now?
We were all waiting for phase 2. This whole 2020 calendar started for me in December 2019, just like our coronavirus. That's when I saw my art partner on Comrade of Crime, and our iconic urban artist phase 2, on his deathbed and on a ventilator. No, he was dying from ALS, that's Lou Gehrig's disease, but what a precursor to a few months later. In February, as our virus was spreading globally, I did an analog slideshow with a bit of digital ambience at the ACA Gallery in New York City as a tribute to phase 2. Hashtag IG Times, hashtag IGT, hashtag Eris Armada. And on the first day of hashtag NYC phase 2 reopening, and on the 95th day since hashtag NYC lockdown, and on the 193rd day of hashtag RIP phase 2, I posted a self-portrait of phase 2 with a mask on. Always a strong voice for the culture he bred. And for the last couple of decades of his life, Faze would wear a mask whenever he was making a public appearance. He was adamant in controlling his own narrative, as he was against any labels placed upon him, or his art, or his culture. He hid his face from cameras as he did his U.S. official birth slave name from his public. And he was asked in the early 70s, when he was just a teenager, and he had started painting trains and was being recognized by the style of a moniker he chose. Why phase 2? 2 is ongoing. 1 is a beginning and 2 is the next step. 2 is forever. Hashtag endless summer in our time of COVID-19. I will do an outdoor hashtag projection this Saturday, September 12th, 8 p.m., parking lot, time and space limited in Hudson, New York. Posted September 8th, Instagram and Facebook. Now for my final piece, it's a endless summer theme. I love this idea of the endless summer. It's so romantic and ridiculously unrealistic, but here we are, an endless summer in a deep and not so deep Catskill forest in the time of COVID-19. Hashtag no filters. Hashtag two projectors. Dot running. Dot independently. Dot from each other.